what appears to just be a basically 3-color good stuff deck. She's playing a variety of high-quality creatures: Blood Baron, Desecration Demon, Elvish Mystic, Fleece Mane Lion, Lockstone Smiter, Obstat, Pelucranos, Scavenging Ooze, and Sylvian Caratids. So, backed up with some spot removal and some Thoughtseizes. The mana obviously is stretched a little thin here in a variety of ways, but a lot of power here for sure.
Okay. Well, we're going to start off with a Cloudfin Raptor here as Trisha's going to play an Overgrown Tomb untapped, and now there's an Elvish Mystic and Bat Sternbeck, so a little bit of acceleration. Something that we actually don't see a lot of in our standard format is mana acceleration.
Yeah, no, it is actually kind of surprising given how, in theory, Mana Elves should work very well with Devotion, but we haven't really seen a ton of that. We've seen shades of Mono Green Devotion, and those make very good use of mana creatures, but it's definitely the exception rather than the rule.
Frostborn Weird going to pump up the jam on that Cloudfin Raptor, so Trisha's going to go down to 17. 2, of course, from the Overgrown Tomb, 1 from the Raptor. And Pardee's off to a really nice start here of just curving out appropriately for his deck.
And it looks like Trisha has a good mixture of mana sources in her hand, which is really important because, again, the mana is stretched pretty thin here. She's got a 3-color deck and is pretty sensitive to having all colors of mana early on.
Gala Shrine going to come into play tap. She'll pass the turn back over to Pardee, who is going to likely just keep getting on the offensive here. Are these beta islands? What kind
Those
of
are betas.
These are betas? Okay. My goodness, these people in their beta lands.
They're not very expensive, and they improve the quality of life quite a bit.
Hey, Thassa in play. See Pardee put a die on top of his deck to make sure he does not forget to scry. Thomas does draw a card here, so no Abrupt Decay or anything like that for her on that turn.
Yeah. That would have been a really, really good spot for either a Doomblade or an Abrupt Decay. She's playing 3 Doomblades and 2 Abrupt Decays, but no removal spell in hand.
Oh, she's going to need some action this turn, that's for sure.
Yes.
So let's see what she's going to set up with. Here's an Overgrown Tomb. Passes the turn back. So Pardee's going to quickly untap. He's going to scry with the Blue God. Going to keep that one. Not sure what we found there.
Looked like another weird.
And now Master. Going to trigger, going to attempt to trigger Evolve. So Sam is off to a great start here.
It's going to warn a use of a spot removal spell.
Hero's Downfall. We'll see what that's targeting. It's going to target the Frostburn Weird. To make sure that Thassa cannot attack. Because now Devotion is only 3. So in comes some Pegasus momentarily. We'll get some elemental tokens out there for you guys in just a second. Also, of course, brings the Devotion down as well. But an attack here for 2 in the air. So Pegasi?
Pegasus is...
That's the official term.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody on Twitter knows the actual truth to that question? Let us know. Pegasus.
So we'll see. Trisha could really use a spot removal spell here for this Master. And then that backed up with any one of her large creatures might actually allow her to start going on the offensive.
Four mana.
There's Pelucranos.
All right, so Pelucranos is actually the one that can get the job done here.
Yeah.
She's gonna have to take some damage. And it depends on what Pardee has in his hand. And it looks like he's got a Raptor, and he has a Frostburn Weird, and now he's taking a look at the top card. So I don't think he has an answer for Pelucranos, which is one of the better cards at beating Mono Blue Devotion.
Yeah, Trisha unfortunately stumbled a little bit on the second turn there. If she had some sort of removal spell there, I think she would have been in a much more commanding position. But instead, she's got to kind of weather this storm right now.
Mm-hmm.
That said, if she can find a removal spell for this large Raptor, that backed up by her Pelucranos might give her a real shot of stealing this one.
And you saw Pardee play Cloudfin Raptor, then he plays Frostburn Weird and triggers Evolve. That's going to turn on the Thassa, and he made it on block 1 attack. So 5 is already coming through. So
this is a lethal attack.
And then 3 in the air is going to put her at 5. So blocking 1 creature does make it lethal. So Sam Pardee wins game number 1 over Trisha Thomas. Mono Blue Devotion up a game over Junk, and that's what we call a curve out.
Yes,
right that's using every mana every turn.
That's a very good display of the efficiency of Mono Blue Devotion.
Yes. The goal in Magic, oftentimes is to use every mana every turn. That's what happened that game.
You can't
That's
take
beautiful.
him. You can't take him with you.
No,
So
you
you gotta
can't.
just cast him.
Sideboard help here for Trisha.
A little bit, yep. She has access to 2 copies of Skylasher, 2 copies of Mistcutter Hydra, and 2 copies of Selesnya Charm, alongside 2 copies of Devour Flesh. She actually has a little bit more removal and a little bit more efficiency that she can bring in. I think she has random creatures like Fleecemane Lion and Loxodon Smiter that just aren't very impactful against Mono Blue Devotion.
Okay.
You can't get rid of all that stuff because you need to be conscious of your curve and your efficiency, but her best game plan, in my opinion, is just spot removal spells into good 4 and 5 mana creatures.
Sure.
So anything that she can do to make her deck a little bit leaner and more efficient and cut some of the kind of not spectacular attacking creatures in the matchup, I think can go a long way.
Take a look at Pardee sideboard here. It's got a lot of 1s and 2s. 1 Bind, 1 Jace, a Dissolve, a Negate, a Curse of the Swine, a Domestication, a Rapid Hybridization, 2 Cyclonic Rift, 2 Jace, and then 4 copies of Gainsay. We'll ignore Gainsay, obviously, going to be for the Mirror and for the Esper and blue-white decks. But, what kind of game plan does he want to employ here? I kind of like Cyclonic Rift in this matchup a little bit. It's a really nice trump to Pelucranos with the Monstrosity trigger on the stack. How many of those do you want? That's actually a pretty good question. He's already got 1 in his main. Do you want to board it to 3? Domestication, how does that look in this matchup? I mean, from Sam's side, he didn't really see a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he'd want to board more of those in. Rapid Hybridization, I think he's going to want more of for a multitude of reasons. But the one that's most important, of course, is that just take care of Pelucranos. Outside of that, I mean, I don't really love anything else here. Curse of the Swine, I think, is the most interesting card that's in his sideboard. And it begs the question of, do you actually want that card against this type of strategy?
Well, I think he definitely wants the extra copy of Rapid Hybridization. I'm not sure if he wants to go as far as Curse of the Swine. I think he has to anticipate that, he didn't see a ton of the cards in Trisha's deck, but it's reasonable to assume that, in the post-board games, you're just playing against a lot of removal.
Mm-hmm.
That makes going to the Planeswalkers a lot more attractive.
Yeah.
And you can play a grindier game with those cards. And given the fact that you would anticipate, you saw Pelucranos, you can assume, Blood Baron, maybe Obsidat, whatever, those kind of cards are probably lingering in Trisha's deck. I think that, Rapid Hybridization makes a lot of sense.
I will say this, since we have talked a little bit about cards that are really powerful but are underplayed cards, like say the Necromancer or something like Sin Collector and things like that. Curse of the Swine is such a unique card that I don't think it would surprise anyone if that card actually started to see a lot of play at some point during its lifespan, because you don't ever really see a card like that in blue. I mean, I really can't think of one that we've ever really had like that. It's so unique in what it does, and it's certainly powerful. It doesn't really have much of a home right now, it seems, though.
It's really perfectly situated for the Mono Blue Devotion deck. You can't just play Curse of the Swine in a blue-white control deck, for example, because the creatures that are left over still matter. You have to have ways to invalidate the creatures that are left over for that card to be powerful, and the Mono Blue Devotion deck is so good at playing to the board and blocking that it can really invalidate those tokens. Also noteworthy, it's very good against White Weenie in my mind, because the tokens it creates are green, so it shuts out Brave the Elements. That's come up quite a few times in the matches I've played online. So it's a pretty specific card. It's hard to incorporate into a deck because you need to be playing a blue deck that cares about creatures and is able to block or invalidate 2/2s. But the Mono Blue Devotion deck can actually check all those boxes. So it's a nice little one-of in the sideboard.
All right, well, Thomas is going to be on the play this game. Sam Pardee did win game 1 in pretty dominating fashion, so we'll see if she's able to keep her opening 7.
And I think the most important thing for Trisha is to have something like Doomblade or Abrupt Decay. That game got away from her because of that second turn, where nothing happened. If she can at least keep pace in the earlier turns, she has a shot to have her 4 and 5 mana spells take over.
All right, she's going to keep. And Pardee says, I am not, so he'll take at least 1 mulligan in this match. If you guys are looking to join us on Twitter at SCG Live, hashtag SCGOAK. Patrick and I are here in Oakland, round 7 of 10. We're making our way through this thing pretty quickly, actually. Looking at 5:13.
This is a really well-run event.
Yeah, we are moving and grooving here so far. So make sure you send your tweets. We know that this is the last. I don't want to say the last. This is the last Open Series event, I guess, for the year, because we have the Invitational next weekend, where, of course, we do have the Standard Open, the Legacy Open in Vegas, and then the Invitational. We'll crown a new champion, new token, all that jazz. But this is kind of our last weekend where it's just an Open for the year.
Yeah. It's an exciting tournament, and I think the outcome of this tournament could have a lot of influence on what happens at the Invitational next week.
It seems like just yesterday, you and I were doing the show in San Diego.
Yes.
That was one of our first shows of the year.
Yeah.
And now we are here. Well, it was long ago. Elvish Mystics to start here for Trisha. We'll see if she has mana. Okay, so she does, and she has black too, so she looks like she's doing okay. Here's a Thoughtseize. It's going to show us exactly what Pardee caps. I was wondering about domestication. The answer is that he does have at least his main deck one, and we don't know if he's sideboarded into more. He also has a Rapid Hybridization, a Tidebinder Mage, a card I actually forgot how good it is in this matchup, and a Master of Waves and a couple of lands, it looks like.
So Trisha appears to potentially be without white mana,
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate as she has a variety of white cards, including Obsidat, although it's unclear if Obsidat's still in her deck.
Oh, 2 Tidebinder Mages, excuse me.
Yeah. So a pretty flush hand here for Sam.
So 1 Tidebinder is going to bite the dust here from Thoughtseize. See if we're getting an attack here. The funny thing about Tidebinder Mage, it's like, it's kind of this role player that you have to play in Mono Blue Devotion. No one's really impressed by it, but the times when Tidebinder Mage is good, it's great.
Oh, yeah.
It's like frightening how good it is, actually.
It gives you a lot of breathing space against decks like Mono Red. There's some green decks that don't have a lot of removal where it's basically Flame Tongue Kapu.
Yeah.
And at worst, it's, just helps with your devotion.
Just a really solid role player in this deck. Looks like we might have another Thoughtseize, so... You see that Sam does not draw another land. He drew another Master Wave. So 2 Masters, Rapid Hybridization, and a Domestication in the grip. So Master going to bite the dust. How do you feel about the selection there between the choices?
I'm not. It depends a lot on what Trisha's hand's like. If she can just kind of like trade off removal spells, then the Master is a significant threat to get out of the way. If she's trying to get to Pluruknos or some other big creature, then I would have preferred to have taken the Rapid Hybridization. So it's hard to really say without knowing the contents of her hand.
Well, Temple Guard's going to come and play on tap, so that's important for a couple of reasons. One of which is that this is going to give her a 4th land for Pluruknos, but now she's got white mana as well. Now you don't know if she had drawn the land or the Pluruknos there, but Rapid Hybridization is immediately going to take care of the Hydra. Pass the turn back, so we'll see if that Thoughtseize was correct in taking Master of Waves. It looks like Pardee drew a Cloudfin Raptor for the turn, I believe.
Might have been another Master.
Yeah. Oh, actually, it's a Thassa. Yeah. All right, come across for 3 is where Trisha's going to start, so Pardee's going to move down to 16. And see if she has a follow-up play here, because almost any follow-up might just be good enough to get the job done here.
Sir, this looks like potentially another Pluruknos.
Oh, now that's huge. That is a huge follow-up here, as Pluruknos is great in this matchup. A great tool for beating Mono Blue. So Pardee draws a card, not a land, and quickly passes the turn back. Pretty confident attack here from Trisha, going to come across for 8. See, it's Pardee's hand. He does have 2 Master Waves. He's got the Thoughts of the Domestication. But all cards that look like, as the Smiter comes down, are going to be a little too late.
An island off the top, but Sam... I don't think neither Night Veil Spectre nor Thassa is terribly productive here.
Yeah. Spectre will come into play. There's a potential to double blocking situation. It would unlock that Elvish Mystic, but I'm not quite sure, like you, if that's going to be able to catch him back up in this game. And I would do that. I would turn them all sideways. Yeah, if there's even a double block in the Smiter, it's a lethal attack. The 5 and the 3 will come through, so looks like we're going to be on chump blocking duty. Tidebinder Mage going to get in front of the old Pluruknos. Sam going to go down to 1. Trisha tapping 2. What's our follow-up going to be? It's going to be a
Scavenging Ooze, which is also very good here.
Card we don't see a lot of anymore.
And Master doesn't do a ton here because Pluruknos has it covered.
Yep.
Domestication doesn't do very much of anything here. So Sam's going to go hunting.
Yeah, this might be just an information grab, Mistcutter Hydra.
It's a good one to know about.
Absolutely. That's why you play on. Master Waves is going to come in Devotion of 4, so he's going to get 4 of these elementals come into play. And of course, you have to make your opponent
that elf should
actually
be
do it.
Elf should be
the Elvish Mystic should be untapped here because Tidebinder Mage isn't in play anymore. So we will bring that up. Our spotter will let the players know down there. Yep, there you go. And all it does take is one Plukernos activation.
Yeah. And
yeah, there's Plukernos.
yep.
Okay. And, all right.
Yep.
And obviously Sam says, I'm going to make you do it.
Yep.
And so she does, and that's going to do it for that game. Excuse me. So Trisha Thomas does win game number 2 over Sam Pardee, and we'll be going to the third and final one between Junk and Mono Blue Devotion. Both players with a little bit of mana issues so far.
Yeah.
From what we've seen.
Although it's a little more understandable for Trisha to be having mana issues, as her deck is strained pretty far here, and you see she's even got 5 basic lands. This is another archetype I bet that Trisha is eagerly anticipating the additional Scry lands coming out.
Yeah, for sure.
This is another deck that could really make great use of it. She is also currently playing 6 Guild Gates in this deck as well.
Jeez.
So yeah, there's a lot of concessions being made to the mana base here to fit all this power into the deck.
Of the Scry lands that we're missing, which one do you think is the most important?
The blue-white one.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, sorry, that may not be fair because you can kind of Esper already has access to 8. It's not clear if they're going to go to the full 12. It's possible the green-black one is the most important because I feel like the Golgari decks that Kibler's been working on and some other people have been trying to play really need that sort of effect because that deck is it needs a mixture of threats and land drops and removal. Mm-hmm. Certain things are better in certain stages of the game than others, and the absence of that land is really noticeable.
Sure.
So I think it's possible that deck needs the land most of all. But the blue-white one, I think, is most likely to just... Blue-white control is already a very good deck in my mind, and it's it doesn't have quite the same power and consistency as Esper, in part because it's missing those lands. And the addition of the blue-white version might be enough to just make that the new stock control deck.
Wouldn't be surprised either to see the blue-white and blue-red ones, when those do come, really pull together a blue-white-red strategy.
Yep.
Which is what a lot of players have been trying to do, because Esper goes from well-positioned to poorly positioned, and blue-white-red has tools that make it better against aggro strategies. But the lands aren't really there, and those Scry lands are super important.
Yes.
To just smooth your draws and everything else that goes along with those cards.
It's really hard. It's often hard to have a good grasp on it because when you're playing against them, you never feel like you're losing to Scry lands. Mm-hmm. But I've been playing, the white-red burn deck a lot online, and the Scry lands are so powerful in that deck.
They really are.
They are so good. I'm really eagerly anticipating the red-black one coming out, going up to 11 or 12 of them or something.
Sure. That one's certainly being overlooked at this point. I don't even think about the red-black land missing.
Trisha's going to take a mulligan here. And possibly especially painful for her deck as the mana and the plethora of expensive cards could lead to some pretty bad mulligans.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's necessarily worth going to the third color, but there's certainly a lot of power available to Trisha in these 3 colors. Every single card in her deck list is, no doubt about it, quality tournament level card.
Oh yeah, I don't think you can possibly argue the power level of the cards that are in this deck.
There's no Judges Familiars, there's no Founder Street Denizens, there's none of that. It's all hits.
We're playing real Magic here.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing.
There's a lot of cost being paid, but certainly no shortage of power.
4, 5, and 6. So let's see what we find. She doesn't look thrilled. And she is not thrilled. Down to 5 we go. So if you're Sammy, you're not counting your chickens yet, but you're probably pretty pleased.
Yeah. No, this is a really good spot for Sam. Obviously, Trisha's deck is a lot about trading 1 for 1, and the value of rapid hybridization goes up a ton also because it's likely that Trisha will have only one single, Polukranos Obstinate type of card.
Yeah. So for you, take a look at Mono Blue Devotion. What's really the card that makes this deck so good? Is there just a single one? Is it just the overall strategy of the deck?
It's Thassa and Mutavault and Master of Waves.
Okay, the overall strategy that's kind of weird because, I feel like this deck played some pretty poor cards. Again, Judge's Familiar, Cloudfin Raptor is fine. It's not anything, impressive or to write home about. Frostburn Weird is good in certain matchups, but, it's so 2-mana 1/4 that doesn't require a mana investment. Tidebinder Mage goes from good to terrible depending on matchup. So, it's just weird. Weird might not be the right word to use, but, obviously Thassa is a very, very powerful card. I think people have demonstrated that card just might be worth going through all this work to make good.
Yeah. I mean, the powerhouse is becoming really not for Master of Waves anymore because so many decks are, playing a bunch of Doomblades and what have you. They're really efficient against Master of Waves, but not many decks are that efficient against Thassa. And Mutavault's also just really powerful.
Nightfall Spectre would be the first play for Sam this game, so he's also a little bit of a slower start. Trisha actually keeping up with him on mana thanks to the old Sylvan Caryatid here.
And Sam playing a non-matching art land, which is basically a firing squad offense.
Yeah, I figured you were gonna mention that.
If I had my way. Oh, and we have a
Skylasher. And there's a Thassa follow-up and no fourth land.
So not a shabby mulligan for Trisha here. Keeping her head above water.
Putting unflinching courage on that bad boy.
Do it.
I don't think there are any in her deck.
No, unfortunately. That would be party time.
Yeah, that would
be the conventional party time.
Overgrown Tomb going to come into play tapped. Sam's hand, as you're probably readily aware, is stock loaded with spells. He did not play a fourth land. And Thassa is going to find that fourth land. Abrupt Decay is going to take down that. Now Skylash is going to come across. So she's actually doing pretty good as Trisha for a mulligan to 5.
Not only is this a really good 5-card hand, as you see.
Jeez.
A Scavenging Ooze. Not only is this a really good 5-card hand, but she has so many powerful draws from here. She actually has 5 mana and all of her colors. She can generate double white and double black for Obsidian in theory. She can, cast, obviously, Blood Baron, a ton of cards, so.
There's a Mutavault. Is he going to fire down Master? Okay, he is. So he's going to get 2 Elementals and pass the turn back. And 2 Elementals are certainly fine right now. Reaching for mana. This means more spells. What is this? That's a Doomblade. Okay. So clear that out of the way. Attack for 4. Put Pardee down to 14.
I think she might ooze
here. Yeah, I guess she can ooze twice, actually. Yeah. System attack for 6. The Scavenging Ooze is actually showing its power now. And all of a sudden, now Sam is on the back foot.
Yes.
Now, he has a bunch of Master of Waves in his hand. He's got 2 more of them. So that'll allow him to stabilize. But we could be 1 or 2 top decks away as Sam draws a Rapid Hybridization. There's a Tidebinder Mage. That's a big play there. Just pass the turn back. So, Ooze down for now. Skylasher coming in. Hybridization in Pardee's hand. I don't think he wants to target anything.
Yeah, ideally he would like to save that for when he has Devotion, then he can target his Thassa and make him free 3/3. And Rapid Hybridization is really important for Sam here because it's a way to generate a green creature, which allows him to just answer the Skylasher.
Master of Waves going to come into play now. Trigger going to take care of the Tidebinder Mage, so only 2 guys are going to come in. So that's actually a pretty nice Hero's Downfall. Untap there. Scavenging uses a 4/4. It can grow into a 5/5. Untap a bunch of mana. Will Trisha. Skylasher can keep pressuring that life total. The Ooze is going to come in. All right, so you're just going to get a chump block there.
As Trisha found one of her big cards. I mean, Sam's starting to, sink his heels in this game, but Trisha's still with a ton of really good draws.
The other thing to keep in mind, too, is Trisha sitting at 22, potential to go up to 23 with this Scavenging Ooze activation. His Tidebinder Mage is going to take down Ooze again. But the fact that she's gained life over the course of this game might give her an extra draw step or 2 to actually get herself out of a hairy situation. Master Way is going to come across here along with the Elemental tokens. Caryatid's going to block something, and Pardee's going to pass turn back. Still not finding lands.
And this is where that Rapid Hybridization is potentially really good because Sam can use it to target Thassa, make a green token, which can then block the Skylash.
1 devotion away from targeting Thassa.
Oh, he's only on 4.
Just 1 devotion
only
away.
on 4, okay.
Now my question is he interested in trading Mutavault for Skylasher?
Well, it's not a trade right now. That Mutavault's a 3/3 because it's an elemental.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mutavault just the best. It is the best of us. Trisha with a fair amount of time here, but she needs to find one of her power cards pretty fast.
Yeah.
Glucranos, Obsidat, Blood Baron. If any of those cards are still in the deck.
She's just going to pass the turn back, realizing that she cannot make the attack into the 3/3 Mutavault. So Pardee's going to take a scry with Thassa. There's another Tidebinder Mage hanging out in his hand, too. Wow. Not great right now, as there's a Hexproof creature and a Pro-Blue creature in play, but certainly going to be good later on.
Another rapid hybridization for Sam, which is excellent here.
This blue deck is resilient, man. It is tough. Tap that down again. So now there's 2 Tidebinder Mages targeting that Scavenging Ooze. And now Thassa's awake as well, along with the rapid hybridization play that we've mentioned a couple times. No attacks here. Skylasher back on defense, of course.
Yeah, Sam just content to build up his board. He can start making Thassa unblockable and not have to play into any potential removal spells that,
that
Trisha has.
I was going to say, he's in no rush now.
Yeah. And all the rapid hybridizations that Sam has at this point also covers a lot of the most powerful draws that Trisha has. So Trisha mulling over her options.
I think she's got a Hero's Downfall and Grip. 3, 4. Is Paluk?
Desecration
Demon, okay. Plenty of fodder for that, and unfortunately for Trisha, more fodder coming. And just a bevy of answers in Sam's hand right now.
Yeah. Again, I think Sam's going to try to take a pretty cautious path.
Untapped Overgrown Tomb so that she can represent that Hero's Downfall in her hand.
Yeah.
Pass the turn back. Let's see Sam fire off a rapid hybridization targeting his Thassa. So instead of, what he was trying to do was try to set the trap with it, but now he doesn't have to worry about leaving the mana up every turn. Now he's got the green blocker out there for the Skylasher, which I like, because now if he doesn't find a land with Thassa, now you can just comfortably tap out for Master of Waves with all the devotion it's going to provide.
And Sam's bottleneck right now is just mana, so he doesn't want to be passing through his turns, not using as much mana as possible.
Let's see if he's going to establish another Master of Waves. True, has a Thassa in his hand that he already has one in play, so doesn't do very much there.
I believe he also may have Curse of the Swine in his hand as well.
It's possible. There is a mystery card hanging out over there. 2 mana, unblockable Thassa, so he wants to start dealing damage this way. Card is just fair and fun. That's what Thassa is.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And you just have to kill the other stuff.
Yeah. Well, he's going to try.
Hero's Downfall on the Tidebinder Mage.
2, 3, 4. Yeah, so no damage from Thassa, just a tapped God now, as Devotion is 4. So Trisha quickly untaps, takes a draw. Deso Demon might try to get into the red zone here. And it'll likely be stopped, but...
Yeah. I'm curious to see if Sam would be willing to use his remaining rapid hybridization. No, just going to feed the demon.
I wonder what the draw was this turn for Trisha. She shouldn't forget about that Scavenging Ooze either.
Yep.
That's one thing that's certainly important right now. The fact that she can eat 2 of those Tidebinder Mages in the graveyard, go up to 20 life, and turn that Ooze into a 6/6. And is Curse of the Swine. That's the mystery card hanging out. You were right about that one.
Curses. Sam really choked on mana here. A lot of good action in his hand.
So he is going to Curse the Swine this and turn it into a 2/2. Have a piggy. Excuse me, a boar. And now Coffin Raptor. Which might not seem like that big of a deal right now, but it may be later. Abrupt Decay going to take care of Tidebinder Mage. Now he gets his Ooze back, which is a big deal.
And now this is, that Ooze is a fair bit of pressure here.
Absolutely. And because because Thassa isn't turned on, The Ooze is a very relevant attacker.
And Sam doesn't really want to lose his green creature here because of the Skylasher, nor does he want to lose any of his blue cards because Devotion is an issue. So
this is a mulligan of 5. Don't forget.
Yeah. It's a 5-card hand.
Trisha Thomas is putting up one hell of a fight right now. Cloudfin Raptor looks like it wants to chump block, and it is. Reaching for mana. Don't forget, a lot of Ooze activations at the ready. Sam going to take an island this time. And now he's going to deploy Master of Waves. Still no... the God is not on.
Correct.
3 elementals are going to come into play. Does she have access to like a card like Golgari Charm?
She does have 2 Golgari Charms in the sideboard.
All right.
So she's still at a standstill here. This favors Sam as he is scrying every turn and can break through the stalemate with Thassa, but a lot of still very dangerous draws hanging out in Trisha's deck.
Don't forget that those elementals are 3/2s right now.
Yes.
Yeah. And that means Mutavault will be a 4/4 because there are 2 Master Waves in play. Doesn't happen a ton, but when it does, it's worth noting. So let's see. It looks like this is a spell. 3 and 4 and 5. Who are you?
Is this Obsidat?
That is Obsidat.
So Obsidat triggers.
20-6. Huh. Gonna try to blink that out? Yeah, I think triggering the stack rapid.
Yes.
Yeah, that's worth killing. The one thing to note now, however, is yes, that Obsidat's gone, and a token should be in play for her, which we'll be getting on the screen for you guys in a minute. But now a Pelucranos is a great draw.
Yes.
Because Sam doesn't have an answer.
Or another Obsidat.
Yeah. And you see, Sam is Pardee is struggling a little bit here.
No, I mean, he's not out of the woods yet.
Yeah.
He can start damage racing now, where he can have the Mutavault back on defense. He can start getting some of his elementals through with Thassa's power. He's still a couple turns away from closing this game out, and Trisha with no end of dangerous draws. And she can also activate that Scavenging Ooze to buy some time.
Masters are going to attack here. See Pardee going to take a look at his graveyard. I'm a little bit curious about when the right time is going to be activate those Scavenging Ooze, because I feel like Trisha should be activating Scavenging Ooze.
Yeah, I mean, she has so many 5-mana cards in her deck that you want to take your spot where you can.
I don't think there's a benefit in waiting.
No, I don't see much of one. I guess the upside of waiting is Sam could have something like Cyclonic Rift, where if the difference between the Ooze being a 5/5 and a 7/7 doesn't really matter very much, maybe you want to leave some fodder in the graveyard, so when you replay the Ooze, you can get it up to a relevant size again. Pretty marginal in the scheme of things, but.
And you see Sam did just spread his graveyard, so looking maybe Trisha did ask a question about how many creatures do you have down there, what can I remove with Scavenging Ooze? Trying to figure out if she even has any good attacks with Scavenging Ooze at the moment. You saw that Sam is starting to clock the life total a little bit, though, with that attack with both Master of Waves and two activations, on Thassa. So he's realizing, I think, that he needs to get this game over with. I think the card that Trisha drew this turn was a Thoughtseize, which doesn't really have much of an impact on the game at this point. Thassa's going to scry. Bottom goes the card. Take a draw. Not quite sure what Pardee found.
I think we're likely to see a repeat of last turn.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the situation has changed. Just really depends how the math works out. Consulting his sideboard really quick. Make sure no mistakes there.
Masters come across.
So Thomas is down to 12. I feel like Sam's trying to set up so that he can get it over in 3 turns?
I don't
Maybe
think
4?
I think 3 is the minimum, right? Because he's attacking for 6, and Trisha has access to life gain on board with scavenging.
Yeah.
Unless he gets to a point where he can turn on Thassa in 1 turn, that gets a hit for more. But if he ever goes for an alpha, there's a danger that Trisha's just holding some removal spell or something. And
now Ooze is finally getting in. Wow, now everything's going to get in front of that.
Sam could not block fast
You
enough.
really couldn't. So now we have to have activations of the Ooze. I believe.
Yes. I mean, you can't make this attack and then not clear out as much as possible.
Yeah. He blocked really fast. And the thing I dislike here is that these Ooze activations take up Trisha's entire turn. Whereas, like, this could have been done on the end step. Now, of course, we don't know the contents of her hand right now, but now she's unable to probably bluff a bunch of things. And also, the question is, okay, so Ooze is
A 6/6 right now.
6/6 right now. Removing Ooze, that would make it a 7. Moving Cloud Retro would make it an 8. So she'd have to get it up to a 10/10 for it to live, because those are 3/2s. I don't think there are enough creatures in graveyards to do that, let alone enough green mana. Now, removing all this stuff does have a 6, 7, 8, 9. That is a little bit of a risk there. And, of course, the reason for that is because now the next Ooze is worse.
Yes.
There's a Temple Garden tapped and passing the turn. Last card, of course, is Thoughtseize still, but Thomas is up to 17. Scry here from Thassa. Card going on the bottom again. Pardee takes a draw. It's an island, so he is missing badly.
He went from choked on mana to now flooding out.
But he's still trying to press his advantage. Make them both unblockable again. All right, so he's going to attack Thomas down to 13. And so he's still got Mutavault. That's a 4/4. It's really nice for him that he's got these different color permanents in play, too.
Yes. Diversity against Skylasher is really nice.
This is a Thoughtseize to clear the way for something. Thassa and Isla are going to go to the graveyard.
Also keep in mind that Sam in the Night Vale spent it over a Mistcutter Hydra, so he knows that's a threat here as well.
I believe that was a Thoughtseize to clear the way for something.
Yes. No good attacks really on board for Trisha is that Mutavault's a 4/4, so unless she has some follow-up to kill a master or some such, she's not in a position to attack.
2 damage may end up being crucial now, too. Pardee keeps the top card. This is a Frostburn weird. That is a Devotion Enabler. Is this going to be a lethal attack here? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't think so. Activate Mutavault. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's not lethal yet. But he can play this turn ultra conservative of just going like attack, make Thassa unblockable attack. And he's just going to keep doing what he's been doing, which is Masters are going to come in because they're certainly not going to block. Put Trisha down to 7. And so now she is facing a lethal attack next turn. Here's 2 mana. Selesnya Charm exiled. Okay.
All right, well, that's actually
pretty big.
Pretty substantial.
Yeah.
As now we're sort of staring at each other.
All right, take a draw step.
This has been a crazy game.
This has been a pretty gosh darn good game for a mulligan of 5.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Both players have had some real decisions to make during this game. And again, don't forget, it's the reason that Celestial Charm obviously takes care of the goddess because it exiles it, doesn't destroy it.
Yep. And Sam's got to feel like, I got to close this game out as soon as I possibly can because who knows what haymakers. There's Obstinate. He knows Mistcutter Hydra is there. There's so many really dangerous cards.
Yeah, the scary. If Lucanos ever shows up, it's like lights out.
Yeah.
Most likely. I mean, Mistcutter Hydra is pretty close to that. So the Rapid Hybrid tokens are going to trade.
Fast out of the draw for Sam.
That's a big one.
That's a big one.
Okay. I'm a little bit confused on what happened there.
I don't know how the trading happened.
Okay, so Obsidat's going to come into play. We're going to check one on what happened with the game. Because that was with rapid hybridization tokens trading back and forth, what exactly happened there?
Yeah, was there... I actually don't know what happened unless there was something that caused them to both die outside of combat.
Because it looked like there was an attack with Sam. It looked like there was an attack with Sam where he attacked his token, she blocked, and then he played a Thassa and then made them unblock, made the two masters. So did he attack twice in that turn?
Unless she drew a card and said go really fast or something.
Okay. Okay, so it was just a really quick draw.
Oh,
okay,
it was really fast draw from Trisha.
It looked really strange. Yeah. So anyway, catch you guys back up at home. Obsidat comes in off the top here. Pardee is now down to 4, and I believe Thomas is at 5.
Yes. So this is lethal on board unless Trisha has a removal spell or some trick to stop this combat.
Correct. And Obsidat did not blink out, which could, be incredibly important here. So let's see what Sam is going to do this turn.
I think Sam is maybe trying to figure out a way if there's a way he can beat a removal spell.
Yeah.
Sam thinking. There's a Frostburn.
That's important.
Gives himself insurance.
Yep. Just Thassa. Just Thassa for looks like a lethal attack. That's it. All right. So Sam Pardee does defeat Trisha Thomas in a really good 3-game match.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Mono Blue Devotion does take down Junk, but not without any fight from the Junk player. And a mulligan to